So if you're coming in a little bit late or you're not able to make it, no big deal. You will still get to get this recording. So excited to be here. We'll do some intros here in a second, but we are going to be talking through how Uniti Med became the best place to work and made referrals a top talent source. So let's get this party started. Couple of things that we're going to go through today. We're going to give you some overarching pictures of who Uniti Med is, in case you've never heard of them, and who Staffing Referrals is, in case you've never heard of us either. I think pretty much everybody's feeling the effects of the economy, and we're going to talk through how Uniti Med became one of the best places to work. Of course, what they're doing a little bit different, and how they continue to grow and make referrals a top source for new talent. One of the things I'm super excited to share with you all about is what exactly their talent is saying about their referral program. So lots of fun things in store. There's going to be a Q&A at the end, so we're going to leave some time. But throughout, if you want to pop in the Q&A section, because we are on a Zoom webinar, you can pop it in there. If you think about it, you don't have to wait to the end to do that, but we will have time at the end to go through all the Q&A. All right, so who are we? Who are you looking at? So my name is Rachel Arnold. For those of you who don't know me, it does look like Rochelle. I answered either thing, but my name is in fact Rachel. I'm VP of Customer Experience here at Staffing Referrals. I've been with the team for almost 2 years. Prior to coming over here, I actually came from healthcare staffing. And I feel like anybody that's worked in staffing or agency, I held a ton of roles at the healthcare staffing agency I used to work at, from marketing, HR, director of recruitment. So sat in a lot of the seats. And actually was a customer of Staffing Referrals from a non-integrated perspective and had a ton of success with the product. And that is how I landed here. And I am super stoked to be joined by our celebrity guest today, Chris Sun, President and COO of Uniti Med. So Chris, I'll turn it over to you to give us a little bit of background on how you came here.
Thanks for the intro. As she said, I'm Chris Sun, President and CEO of Uniti Med. We're a healthcare staffing company focused on travel nursing, allied, long-term care, and locum tenens. And the reason I'm here today is I learned about staffing referrals thanks to Rachel a little over a year ago out in Asheville, North Carolina is the first time. And got introduced to the technology, was really impressed. And one of the things that really, for us, helped out was actually Rachel's experience. Her knowledge of speaking from her own background of using it, the success she had with it, quickly opened her eyes that this is something that we'd be very interested in. So I really thoroughly enjoy our partnership together, and it's been a really integral part of our growth. So I'm excited to tell a little bit more about that later.
Awesome. I actually didn't know that. That was one of the reasons that you chose Staffing Referrals. Thanks.
Yeah, your experience and you talking firsthand on what you did in the driver's seat with it. And I mean, you guys had unbelievable success with you there at the helm and doing that. Yeah, that was a big part of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, happy to be here. We are going to talk a lot about what success can look like with growing your referrals. But let's first talk about Uniti Med and a little bit about Staffing Referrals. So Uniti Med's mission is to provide staffing services with heart. So as we continue our conversation today, I think you all will see what that really means and why they're having success with leaning and leading with their hearts. So let's talk through some fabulous numbers. These are some big numbers on the screen right now. So you all had 616% revenue growth in 2022. A lot of you all might have joined today because of that headline. So we're going to get into that. They have a top 1% net promoter score, #1 best place to work. And when we see an agency, so most of my day is spent talking to staffing agents, staffing firms, either that are using our product or maybe thinking about using our product. When we see an agency that's having accelerated growth like you all are having, Chris, it's no surprise to see that you're being named and recognized for other awards. So just going to call out a few of these ones that you all are looking at on the screen. So clearly rated Best of Staffing and Talent Satisfaction, Great Place to Work Certified 2023, Omaha Magazine's Best of Omaha Top Employer for 2023, SIA Best Staffing Firms to Work for, and then winner of best places to work in Omaha. So congratulations to all of us. It's really exciting, and we love being on this journey with you all. Now, staffing referrals, we partner with over 100 staffing agencies and firms and have created 1.5 million brand ambassadors with agencies. What that means is we have curated 1.5 million people who love the people that are using our products, love those recruiters, and have joined their referral program and are acting as little digital recruiters out in the universe on behalf of the team. We are the leading automated referral management platform in our space. These are just a few of our customers who have had success with our product, but we work across all verticals. So not just healthcare, also IT, light industrial, and just kind of everything in between that. We do have a ton of integrations. We work with some of the top ATS systems, and we have a ton of tech stack partners. We've been in business for almost 7 years. And like I mentioned, we are the #1 referral software for agencies. We were recently awarded Best Estimated ROI, as well as Easiest Setup from G2.com. We're pretty excited about that.
It's amazing.
Okay, why some of you are here today. So we want to talk first about how Uniti Med has grown so much over the past 1.5 years. Now, a little background on this slide. Yesterday, we were going through this deck and we were like, it was just a pretty basic slide. And we're like, Chris, what should we put here? And he was like, put a picture of Iron Man. I'll explain it later. And we're like, okay, sure. So Chris, with that, I'm going to turn it over to you. Tell us about how you all accomplished this growth, and then give us a little background on this Iron Man, because I love this whole analogy.
All right. So without going too long in this, I just keep it simple. I think there's two big areas that I'd probably point out. Obviously, you could say there's a ton of things that helped our growth, but #1 is our people, the team. We have an amazing team here. All the recognition there is because of them and what they do day in and day out. And so I think, the first part for us was building a team of the top professionals we could find, and then also just making sure we're giving them the tools to do that and the training, and to always be making sure that we're sharpening that saw, that every little part of the experience we're going to give, we're always looking at making it better. So with that, when I say tools, it's not just training, it's also technology. And one of the things that I've heard a lot over the last handful of years is technology going to take over our industry? Should we just replace it with robots? And for us, I really think there's 3 different ways of doing a business, and I compare it to restaurants. And so the first one is, and I feel bad because by no means are any restaurants bad. Everyone has a flavor, but you either kind of go down one of these paths. And one of those paths is I like to use Burger King. And I use Burger King because I think you can get 20 chicken nuggets for like $2. And so you know what you're getting. You're going for that value where you go, I want the best price. So in our case, maybe the best paying. And if there's an issue, it is what it is. But that's what you're going for. Then there's that McDonald's method, where McDonald's has gotten so big, they've built technology where they don't need people to take your orders. You can order all your food completely through the use of technology. And as long as that food comes out right, you're probably going to have a pretty good experience. Now, if it doesn't, that's a whole different ballgame. And then in the middle, there's, I use the phenomenon of Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is by all means probably higher priced than the other 2 places. And yet you can drive by there and see a parking lot wrapped 2 lines deep down the street. And there's some guy standing or gal standing out there, and it could be in the rain, taking the order in the street just to help make sure that experience is so much better and they're not waiting that long. And so we decided for us, that's really what we wanted to emulate. We wanted to emulate that we feel somebody's going to stay in a hotel. They may pick a trusted brand over the cheapest hotel in that town. And that's what we want to give from a service and experience standpoint. We want that elevated white glove 5-star service for everybody, that that we are looking out for your best interests on all ends of your career when you're picking who you work for. So with that, why Iron Man? Well, to go back, when I said technology, that doesn't mean we don't like technology. We love technology. But instead of using technology to replace us with robots, the idea is let's make a bunch of superheroes and let's give technology that makes us faster, stronger, smarter so that we can take our own hearts, our minds, and do what we do best, but let's arm ourselves so that we can do it more efficiently. And that's really why we leaned hard into picking the right technology to align with. With that, staffing referrals is one of those technologies for us that allows us to do things that we couldn't do without it. And because of it, we're able to take brand ambassadors or people we know we want to work with, and we're able to hit a much larger network and really get the word out much more about us than we would ever be able to do if we didn't have it.
Totally. So what I love about this Iron Man analogy is that this is something that kind of I've never even thought about, but I love that relation between the person and technology and how coming together really is a superpower. Now, things like that, I feel like I hear a good bit, right? People are always claiming to try to do these types of things, but not everybody does it well. And as we keep talking, I hope that everybody that's listening like picks up how well you all are doing this, and this is how you were able to grow so much. So leading into that, there's some key components that I'm really excited for us to jump into as to how you all have become so successful and were named Best Place to Work. So let's dive into one of the biggest things is the culture at Uniti Med. Anybody follows you on social media, you see fun things like this all the time. Y'all doing videos, y'all doing dancing, people talking, and it's really engaging. So tell us how you emulate this type of a culture at your company. Like, how have you done this?
Great question. So I'm going to take it back early on. Yeah. So when we were first building our initial leadership team, we had people doing compliance and operations and wearing a lot of hats, but I didn't have a compliance manager, didn't have an HR manager, an operations manager, a whole lot of roles that, today you wouldn't even think twice about. And the very first key leadership position that we hired was the director of culture before all those. And a lot of people would be like, why would, those for getting a business going are much more important. And I argue that if you don't have a good culture, the rest of the business is really going to have a hard time. And so that we brought in Michaela Zimmer. She is absolutely amazing at what she does. And it's not a one-person job. It's putting a focus across everybody in this building and every leader to protect that culture and are you somebody that's going to make the culture better when we're hiring? And so that's a big part of it. We like to have fun over here. We work really hard. And so I tell people though, when people work for us and they look back 5 years down the road and they're sharing on social media, I can't believe I've been here for 5 years. They're not showing a picture of somebody sitting in a desk making a placement. They're just not. They're going to share a photo when they remember we went out to a park and we're pulling tires out of the lake and cleaning it up, or that we smashed our faces with Peeps right before Easter to see who could eat the most Peeps the fastest. And so we've just found that you break up your 10, 15 minutes during the week with a mini hoop slam dunk contest. And that's the stuff they're going to go talk about for the rest of the week. They're all laughing, they're excited. And we hope that fun that we have then carries into our conversation and how we're going to treat, everyone that we're working with. That, yeah, it's serious work that we do, but we should all be doing it with a smile and having fun while doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, healthcare staffing agency I worked at had great culture. Customers that I talked to that have major success with referrals, it's rooted in some type of deep culture that they have at the company. So it is really important. How do you feel like you all keep it top of mind when stuff's kind of hitting the fan and things are not going as peachy as they could be?
That's a good question, right? The market's really tough right now. Yeah. And we were discussing that in our leadership meeting just last week. How are we each doing? How's our teams doing? And everyone's feeling that competitiveness that we're in right now. You got to work harder and smarter to get the same results than you probably would have had to maybe 6 months ago. And that's when you really have to lean in, I think, harder to say we have to keep a fun energy level and a competitive level. You also have to really enjoy it. You have to enjoy the journey. And so we stopped and said, what are we going to do? I was gone the other week, but I heard nothing but rave reviews, and there's a national spelling bee going on. So they held a spelling bee across the company to see how people would do at a 5th grade level of spelling. And then tomorrow, it's Father's Day weekend. So tomorrow for lunch, we're going to grill burgers, but we're asking the staff to all come in dressed like dads and bring in their New Balance and towel socks and braided leather belts, hopefully.
I can't wait for these pictures. I love it. It's going to be great.
But it takes a conscious effort. You can't just like go through your day-to-day meetings and then just assume that you decide to do that. You do have to take time to be like, what are we doing this month? Did we do anything that involved the remote workers? What are we doing, and keeping a pulse on it and being honest when things are tough, to say, what are we going to do to keep that environment going?
Yeah, I love that you said to lean in harder, because I think it's really easy to lose sight of that when things feel really hard. I think SIA just released something too, where they say like the people that invest more with training and do more things and keep your eye on the prize and don't pivot and kind of react, right? Like, those are the people who steer the ship and keep it going.
Absolutely.
Well, going in line with your culture, you guys give back to the community all the time. Again, I see pictures of you all out in the community. I'm like, you're getting an ice cold water, doing stuff. So how did y'all start doing stuff in the community, and why is this important for you all?
Yeah, first off, I have to give Michaela another shout out. So Michaela, our director of culture, was a community engagement manager prior to this. And so she is always has a good history of knowing some places. But even before that happened, before she was here, from day one, there was already they called it community, with Unity being the end of it, UNITI. There's a community group from almost day one of this company getting started. And it was a group of employees that were just passionate about making sure we were giving back. And so it's really grown. I've seen a bigger impact, I feel like, year after year when we go back to some of the things. But we have 2 ERGs. We have our Undivided, which is our DEI Pride group. And then we have a wellness group made up of employees that meet, and they come up with, what are we doing to just be better in those areas? And I get asked a lot, like, ooh, are we going to be gone too much for volunteering, or should I not sign us up because that's going to take 5 people away for half a day? And my answer almost every time is sign it up, get them out there. Because I don't think there's anything better you can do than what you learn from giving back. So that's why it's been a big part of our DNA. Our leadership team, our last quarterly offsite, before we met together to get down to business, we spent the first 3-4 hours at a food shelter where families would come up, and they can go in once a month, and they got to pick so much items that would be their food. And there's something about when you do that, in those type of giving back, you gain a perspective that we're talking about our challenges in work, and what we think right now is an obstacle we have to find a solution for. And you just really minimizes what you think maybe is making you feel like you have a bad day. When you go and realize, you know what, we have a great day. We have a lot to be grateful for. And man, we're lucky to be at a place that we are. And let's make sure we're giving everything we got when we are here.
Wow, that's powerful. Perspective, right? That's everything.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little about the employees, right? So you all have all kinds of really cool benefits aside from just, pay and healthcare and all that good stuff. So on-site chef, meditation room, a mother's room, standing desk. You're always standing whenever I talk to you. A wellness fridge, a gym. How are you guys doing all of these different things, and what made you decide on some of this stuff?
Good question. The food thing came early on. We were catering in food, and it started off with tacos on Tuesday, and then we started switching it up by catering in like different great restaurants in our area. And the reason for the food and bringing somebody in to make breakfast was you build a team faster, I believe, from breaking bread.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea was like, we're not just bringing in food and you just bring it back to your desk and eat. And don't get me wrong, that does happen. But the idea was like, hopefully, let's all get in a room and just stop and talk and hang out and get to know each other. And the quickest way to build that teamwork, that collaboration across really felt was to just break bread. It's to eat and to get to know each other. And food is, I believe, really brought our company much closer together from doing that. The meditation room, let's face it, with what we do,
Yeah,
coaching out for a little bit. So that one, I was a little unsure when we first put it in how much you used to get, but it is a good room when people just need to chill for a second.
Yeah, I'm sure.
The mother's room's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
We had to have a mother's room. I mean, any place, if they have space, that could have been an office, there's no way that's a great use of space, to say the least. I'm really glad we have the mother's room. And then wellness is important to us. So the healthy snacks, standing desk for anybody that doesn't have one, then we get them one. And then the gym. We're adding new equipment this week to it, but same thing. You give people a chance to stay healthy, and a healthy way to break with the gym that makes them better people. And I think ultimately what we do here is important, but even more so, we want people to be the best version of themselves. And so making sure that the tools we give isn't just to make them better at their job, but just making them better people.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I never thought about the breaking bread situation, but even when we met at a dinner. But most of my best core memories, not even with just colleagues, some of my family and friends, have been over dinners or over lunch or whatever that is. So that's so great and such a different twist on it. But I love all of this. I mean, I like going to the community places to work because I work from home, right? Because it offers a lot of these same things, not the chef, but some of the other ones. Well, this is probably one of my favorite things. I actually did not know that you all did this until after we were talking at Executive Forum, but I'll kind of give the foundation of this, then you can speak to it. But Uniti Med, once a week, they carve out an hour of gratitude, which is something that I hold near and dear to my heart. I'm also a yoga teacher, so. But the hour of gratitude is a chance for everyone on their team to call out someone that they're grateful for. And that is just it's a simple idea, right? But gratitude is just so powerful. And going back to that perspective, leading with your heart, something like gratitude makes everyone happy, people that are expressing gratitude and the people that are receiving it. So how did this become a thing, and how do you make sure that you all are practicing, what you're preaching?
Good question. So it started off with an employee MVP meeting on Fridays. Every Friday morning, we've twisted it. It's a little bit later morning because we have people in different time zones. We get together as a company, and before the meeting starts, we send in nominations these are the people, this person we think's the MVP. And what we found was a lot of times it was unsung heroes. Sometimes I'll use sales gets a really good highlight because you can tell when a salesperson, a recruiter, for instance, or a client manager is having a great week. It's viewable. But what you may not have known is that compliance specialist that just went above and beyond to help somebody that was really struggling to get something complete, or the payroll team took extra time to handle an issue and make somebody's day. Or maybe somebody just was really struggling and someone took them aside and got them through a difficult situation. And that's where that came from. And it's hands down. I mean, it's just an amazing way to like kick off a Friday and kind of tie up a week, is when you realize how many people are doing really great things that you wouldn't known about if someone didn't get in front of the company and tell that person like, thank you for what you did. And while some of probably what will always be some of my favorite times here will be those meetings, I mean, there's stories you just hear and it's like waterworks. I'm gonna be really honest. Like I wouldn't even be able to repeat some of the things people have said in front of the company. It just makes you proud to know that you work alongside people that are willing to give that much and do that much, and they care that much to do those type of things. And man, they deserve recognition. You know, we do our quarterly awards, we tie it to that. We give them a baseball with their name, and that's their MVP game ball. And while that was great, what about our travelers, right?
Yeah.
What about these people that are working around the clock away from their families? They deserve the same thing. And it's just saying we got to have time on our calendar to remember that right now we need to stop and tell them how much we appreciate them and how thankful we are for them. And so every Friday we spend an hour of doing just that. I can't think of a better way to like cap off the week than reaching out to them, just talking and getting to know them and telling them how much we care.
Yeah. I even find too with like gratitude, it's one of those things. It's easy to adopt, but it is also really easy to let go of. But if you're having like a tough day, like you personally, expressing gratitude to other people really does kind of change your entire mindset. That's what I've experienced from it. So I'm sure that also kind of ties into the team just continuing to have like a positive, because look, the jobs that we do like in recruiting is freaking hard. And healthcare staffing, dealing with nurses that are working around the clock, like that is a heavy. I can remember getting phone calls at 2 a.m. from somebody at the ER working, and they were locking off their contract. And I was like, whoa, wait, let me wake up first. But it's tough. And so like coming back to this, I really like this hit home for me when I found out about it a couple months ago. And so I love that you guys do this. And I think there's nothing more impactful with leading with your heart than having something like this resonate in your culture.
Thanks. Yeah, I completely agree.
And then some of the people that are on here, if you are a customer of Staffing Referrals, you might hear me say a lot about the ambassador-recruiter relationship, because ambassadors are people going out into the universe that are promoting your referral program, promoting your brand, and promoting your recruiter. And that relationship is so important, right? Because those are the people that can fill your pipeline of business, who are telling other people to come work for you. And so I do spend a lot of time really coaching teams to cultivate and nurture that relationship. And there's a lot of stuff we do behind the scenes that helps with that. But I think adopting something like this, or just taking the time out of your day to recognize who those people are, it really could have a big impact on the amount of referrals that you're getting. Right. Amazing segue. I didn't even mean to do that. So ensuring that, everybody on the team's coming from a place of compassion and heart, I feel like has really allowed Uniti Med to carve out that space in healthcare staffing. And so I'm really excited to talk now about how referrals has played a major role in supporting your growth. And, coming out of healthcare staffing myself, one of my favorite things to do was actually talk to clinicians on assignment. Now that I'm a little bit removed from that, I don't get to experience it too often. So one of the things we did is survey, of course, with their consent, the brand ambassadors that Uniti Med has, and ask them about the referral program. And so we actually have some data that we're going to dive into here at the end too, and I'm excited about that. So I think probably the biggest takeaway that anybody wants from this webinar, Chris, is what are you doing differently to make referrals a big lead source? So tell us here, what do you think that y'all are doing differently?
Man, that's a great question, because differently, it's hard to say.
Right.
I really hope we're not the only ones doing this. I would doubt it. I think a lot of people are, but referrals are king, is the saying that we've said countless times. There's probably not a better lead than somebody telling you, here's a really great person I want you to talk to, right? So if you want referrals and good referrals, then you have to take care of the ones when they give them to you. Anytime someone gives you a referral, you got to treat that with white glove. They personally vouched, they went out of their way to talk about your company and tell them they should talk to us. Now we better do our part and do everything we can to really blow them away, to make sure that, hey, if they told somebody that they need to talk to us, we better give them a good reason why they did that. So we really go do as much as we can to make sure that every referral we get, we're giving them the best service we absolutely can.
Yeah. And a lot of people say that, right? A lot of people, everyone's trying to do that. I think what y'all maybe do a little bit differently is like the accountability piece definitely resonates like all throughout the company, and you have a good pulse on what's going on with referrals. And I feel like that probably is a real big takeaway for anybody that's trying to get your team to adapt, like holding them accountable to the referral leads that are coming in, you having your eyes on them and making sure that they are being treated with a different sense of urgency, right? Because they are going to answer the phone faster. They're going to call the recruiter back faster because they know you and they've already been told about your brand or your recruiter. One of the things on this slide that I want to point out is during the fairly lengthy survey that we'll talk about in a second that we sent out to the brand ambassadors that Uniti Med has, we asked them if they had referred somebody, and if they did, there was a secondary question that said, well, how was your referral treated? And 100% of the ambassadors said that their referral was treated well. And that's pretty major, right? 100% of people saying that. Everybody wants to strive for that. So I mean, y'all's team, like Chris, congrats on all of these things, but that I feel like is a big, big takeaway.
We were extremely pleased, to say the least, when we got this survey, because this, but we were a little leery when we did it, because clearly Rated was doing their best to staffing, and they were early May, they were sending a survey to every single one of our external employees, all of our travelers and healthcare workers that work for us, to decide if they enjoy working with us or not. And knowing that was going out, and then you were going to all of our ambassadors really at the same time, I'm like, man, are they going to fill out the surveys? Are they willing to do that? What's that going to look like? So
yeah. And we have those results too that we're going to talk about, but yeah, same time, and ours was a little bit lengthier, and we'll get into that in a second. But so let's talk about the talent pool that we've turned into ambassadors. So there's been a little bit over 600 of them that we have turned into brand ambassadors right now from a non-integrated perspective. And, to us, it feels like that those people are able to create a competitive advantage for you in the marketplace. Now, you all decided to invite people to become a brand ambassador at the point of submission. And then I want to touch on that for just a second to talk about that decision and why you think that that is a good touch point to ask to become a brand ambassador.
Good question. I wouldn't say this is necessarily the best answer. I think it depends on we decided if we're going to invite somebody without the recruiter asking them, at what point do we just want to automate it? That's why we decided the submission. We knew we had not only gotten enough rapport with this person, that they agreed that they were interested in taking a job and having us submit them to a job, hoping that, for an interview and an offer. So at that point, we knew we'd gotten in that process really far with them, that they were willing to take a job with us.
Yeah.
With that said, at the same time, it's really important that people understand to sign them up well before that. It could be the very first phone call that you have, and this person has 3 kids and they're just not a fit to go travel. But they're a great healthcare employee, and they know people that would be great for us. And so just because they don't work for us doesn't mean they can't be an ambassador and find people. And so at the automated part, submission, but we make sure our emails have a spot for it, our website has a spot for it, and that it's just part of the conversation right off the get-go.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it's something to always talk about. We all know in healthcare staffing that clinicians work with about 3 agencies, because there's the variance of what people offer is all over the place to what do you want, right? So you can decide from there. And I liked the approach of at the submission point, because they're already engaged with the recruiter. When people launch with us, you know, we usually start with like active working on assignment, because that makes sense. They're already working in the universe. But at the submission point, you know, they also have like what you said to the rapport. The rapport's already built. I mean, the recruiter knows a lot about them because they're trying to figure out where their career path is headed. And so that makes sense to me. Probably why we have y'all had a really big acceptance ratio. From what we invited to the people that were accepting was really high, because they were expecting to get that invite and they wanted to join it. Whereas when we open up that variance, sometimes that gets a little bit wider. So I put this on the screen because this is some big stats that we're excited to share. So this is the referral placements year over year. 2021 was before staffing referrals. And then 2022 is when staffing referrals came on. And then our projected growth of what we are expecting you all to get. So referrals growing by 488% in the first year at staffing referrals. What do you think? Like, is it the automation? Did we make it easy? Like, if you could just take out one nugget, what would that be?
Oh, I mean, really, that's staffing referrals is a huge part of that, right? And it's your secret sauce. And I think one, organize that platform. Anybody like can say they're doing referrals well. But to know that every single person's going to ask every single time, it's just not possible.
Yeah.
And so putting this into place so that it's getting asked no matter what, that we can't miss it. It's always happening. It's automated. Step 1. And then step 2, it's that magic thing you guys have with how you're able to help the brand ambassador get the word out to their network.
Yeah.
That to me, which you can talk way more in, was just the eye opener. And I think it's the story Dave told, and I don't want to take away from that story. It was just that story he told on that light bulb moment of why you guys created in the first place. That works. To be able to put it out to your social network. There's way more people in my social network than I talk to every single day. And if you ask me off of my top of my head who to throw out there, there's no way I could remember that list.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when Dave started Staffing Referrals, that was like 7 years ago, you know, and like think about the social network that everybody has now. I literally talk to people on Instagram and Facebook Messenger. I have maybe their number in my phone, maybe, but that's how we communicate. And that's normal. That's just what's happening now. And it's crazy to think. So yeah, allowing your referral program to go digital allows you to really expand your reach, tap into different passive talent that you would not have gotten anywhere else. Okay, let's talk about my favorite part, what people are saying. So we surveyed the over 600 brand ambassadors, like I mentioned. And I love hearing and seeing what these people are saying about your referral program itself. So I pulled out some of the top impactful questions. Here we go. When we asked, basic NPS question, how likely are you to recommend Uniti Med to a colleague, friend, or family? You guys had an 87% promoter score. 87, industry average is 19. 0 detractors. Nobody said that they wouldn't, which is amazing. And then to your point, clearly rated. So we sent this survey out, which was more lengthy, lots of free open text. We wanted to know what people were thinking. And then the clearly rated survey, I think we decided came out like 2 weeks after. And Chris shared with us that the same exact results came out of clearly rated. So what I think is really powerful here is the culture that you've created, the leading with y'all's hearts, and being that healthcare staffing agency. You're asking people to take surveys and they're doing it. And it's that same audience. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's we're extremely proud. I think I told our team, especially, some of the words we've got. I mean, it's really amazing to be considered a best place to work. But we do this for our travelers and the clients we serve. And so when the results from this, and clearly rated, when we get the results from our travelers and our brand ambassadors and people that we're working with day in and day out, that matters to us. This is a report card. The other ones, that's neat. This is the real report card. So yeah, this was very amazing, to say the least. We're really proud of this.
Yeah, as you should be. Let's see why they're saying that. So, then we asked, like, why are you referring people to Uniti Med? And we're hearing, anybody that went to executive forum or has been at any of the conferences recently, the candidate experience is really everything, right? What you provide from the moment that they even think about you to all the way down to them being on an assignment with you. Like, that experience is everything. And 82% said they were referring people to Uniti Med because of the great experience. And we pulled out one of the quotes. One of the ambassadors said that it was a trustworthy company with a great recruiter. They never feel like they're just one of many nurses. And they always feel like everything is personalized. And like that's everything, right? Because we know, I mean, you could hold a desk of 50 to 120 people, and making sure that that person, something about them, and you can speak to, their kids or where they want to go next. Like, just having that personal touch really does make a difference. So all of these things that y'all are doing is impacting the people that are going to work for you, which in your case also is impacting patient care. Oh, how do you feel like that? I know we talked a little bit about like your yearly goal. If you want to share that with the people that are watching, kind of how that resonates throughout the company.
Yeah. This is a extremely big focus for us. Where our values are on the wall, they will always be there. That what we hold true to ourselves, and that's respect, integrity, community, and grit. And our mission statement, I'll get out there because that never changes. It's from the beginning to the end. The whole reason we do this is to run a heart-led staffing company to impact the lives of our travelers, our clients, our community, and our employees. So anytime we make a decision and what we do, it just always circles back. Is this going to improve the lives of our travelers? Does this improve the lives of our clients? Are we making our community better? And are we making our employees better? But with that, we have what we call a thematic goal. And every year, like as people, if my mission, in my personal life is to make people around me the best version they can be, that doesn't mean I don't have a yearly goal or some ways to keep getting better. So as a company, we call that the thematic goal. This year, this is what we're focusing on. And the 2023 thematic goal for us is we will improve the experience for our travelers, our clients, our vendor partners, so that they want to choose Uniti as their preferred partner. And so the reason I bring that up is because every department, every quarter, we are looking at what way do we continue to make it better? How do we make it less friction in any part of the process? From the time somebody's on our website, is our website easy to use? Is it easy to apply to? Does it have resources? Do they have to go somewhere else? If they have a question, can they get it from there? And if they do pick up the phone to call us, do we make them go to 3 different people to get the answer, or do we give it to them? And so that has been something that I can say the leadership team, everyone in our company understands that's our goal right now. And we're constantly focused on that. And it could be little things like realizing we could offer a benefit quicker, or that one that I noticed recently, we didn't have domestic partner benefits. Shame on us. We should have, for health insurance. And we dug into that immediately and were able to roll it out 2 months later. But it's anything like, if that's affecting the experience for somebody at a stage, what can we do to fix it? So I guess to hear that that's why people refer us, is pretty amazing to know that the work we're trying to do over here is working.
Yeah. And I think that alignment between like all the different divisions and making sure that everybody is in alignment with that same goal is resonating, right? You're keeping that consistency, you're keeping the culture alive, and everybody's driving towards the same mission. And it's impacting the people that you wanted it to, which is awesome.
Thank you.
So we asked also, what is the most important factor for choosing an agency? And 27% said recruiter, and then underneath that, relationship care. So this made sense to me when we saw these stats.
Yeah.
You too? Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
But I would love to like look how low pay rates and then like job availability is.
I love that. You know, everyone always like, it's all about the money.
Yeah.
And then you start really diving into it, and I'm like, it plays a part. But
totally. Well, and to your point too, like the Burger King, Chick-fil-A, McDonald's analogy, like there are those companies. If you want a higher pay rate, you can go to a company that is just a computer and do all your stuff there.
Yes. I mean, I am a deal person. So to save money, I'm always looking like, what's a good value? But I use a hotel a lot. I'm like, if I'm going to go stay somewhere, I'm not going to stay in the absolute cheapest hotel that is on Priceline.
Yeah.
That one. I'm not. There's a level that I go, I trust this brand and I'm going to stay here, and I know I'm going to pay more, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I had to learn that.
A bed. A bed's a bed, but is it?
Right. That's funny. So I love this too. So when we asked the ambassadors, how did they feel about your referral program? Here are some of the top answers that we saw. It's easy to understand. Well, anybody that's gone through an onboarding with me that is a current customer or has ever spoke to me about referral programs, I'm always like, keep it simple. It's so critical, because if you're trying to overcomplicate it, if it's hard for you to explain it to me to then put it in a campaign, it's going to be hard for the recruiters to explain it to your ambassadors. It's going to be hard for the ambassador to explain why other people should join. So keep it easy. So easy to understand. I loved hearing that. Their unique link was easy to share with others. We're giving them tools, like you said, like we're giving them the tools to share about their referral program out in the universe, to share on social media so that they can have it tied back to them. Easy to enter their friends' information. Okay, candidate experience, making it easy for the whole process. They liked being able to see the status of their friends that they're referring. And they're more likely to refer friends because of this program. So I thought that this was just some really cool high-level stats to share with everybody. So what we're looking at here, I wanted to put in a screenshot of, if you've never had a demo with Staffing Referrals and you're like, what are you talking about, dashboard link? So over on the right-hand side of the screen is actually from our demo account. So where you see the Staffing Referrals logo, this would have, if we had Uniti Meds up here, it would have Uniti Meds logo and like the details around their referral program. But I wanted to give you all a visual as we talk through some free text quotes that some of the ambassadors actually said. And I think it's some little value nuggets, like good takeaways. It ties into the power of digitizing your referral program. So it's easy to use and very fast. Again, back to the candidate experience. We want them to land on a page and be like, oh yeah, this is easy. Let me just refer my friend. Easy to share. So we give ambassadors their own link that they can share on social media, text to their friends, email it out. When they hit copy link, they can do whatever they want to do with it. Bonuses and reminders, they know about the referral program the moment they land on this dashboard that gives them the details. And then we have a bunch of nurturing campaigns where we're constantly reminding people that they're part of the referral program, as well as, you know, when somebody moves to placed or paid, we ping them to let them know. And so the Uniti Med ambassadors are like, we love that. Keep doing that. Helps us to remember. they loved also being able to check on the status of their friends that they referred. So underneath here, it tells you the people that they referred, and the ambassador can see where their friends and colleagues are in real time. So they don't have to bother the recruiter. They can trust in the process, and it makes it way more transparent. And we all know that's like everything in staffing. And then one of them said that they love using the link that's specific to them because this link is specific to them. There's no confusion over who referred whom, and no out of the blue strangers reaching out to recruiters. I think there's also the flip side of that too, where like the recruiter is, since the recruiter is calling the lead is not like, it doesn't feel like a cold call. There's rapport that's already built. And so the conversation flows a little more naturally. We know referrals move through the funnel a lot faster because they're closest to the dollar. Anything else you want to share on this? I love these little top quotes.
I think the biggest thing I would just share is if anyone has not gotten a demo of staffing or referrals, make sure you set that up. If you have questions, you can find me. I'm on LinkedIn. Find me. I am an open book. I'll talk to you all about it. But you got to meet with Rachel. You need to hear the story, I think, of how it started. And the share on social is just a game changer. You know, you take the time to have this ambassador that loves you, and they go on their social network and they go, I love my recruiter. Do you love yours? If so, here is mine. And watch the leads come in.
Yeah. And it creates more brand awareness. And also, like, how much more impactful is that from like a marketing perspective? If somebody that's actually working for you is sharing about how much they love your recruiter and your brand on social media, I always say I could never pay money to get in front of that audience.
Exactly. That is the most powerful marketing tool out there. If you're not leaning into this, you should be.
Yeah, agreed. And then one of the, I wasn't really surprised to see this, but I wanted to kind of close with like one of the impactful questions. Because I think a lot of people who are maybe trying to decide like, okay, what do we do next? How do we lower our sourcing costs? But, you know, we asked them, how do you want to share the referral program? And text, right? This didn't really surprise me. Chris, did it surprise you?
Not at all. Nope.
Yeah. I think, you know, in healthcare staffing, they do have to rely on their email because of like credentialing and stuff like that. But I'm super type A. Like, I can't leave a text unread. If I do, it's because I need to get back to it. That's how I operate my text and my emails. But like it's hard to ignore a text. It's easy to mass delete or kind of just X out of your email, just close the window real quick. But like your text, the notification stays there and like burns a hole in your brain. So I wasn't surprised to see that text was the way that most people want to share about their referral program. Okay. Yeah, so I guess like what I would like to leave with, and then we'll go to the Q&A is, you know, if you haven't thought yet about digitizing your referral program or bringing on something like staffing or referrals, you know, the time is now, right? You need to build that ambassador pool. So you have, you know, ambassadors like this who are going out into the universe, sharing about their experience with your brand. Like the time is now to do that because it does take some momentum and some time to build up this. You know, Uniti Med has been live with us for a year, a little over a year, and they're having some great results. So anything else you want to add, Chris, before we pop into the Q&A?
Like I said earlier, book a demo if you haven't.
We did good. High five.
Or ask me, or like I said, and ask me questions anytime. Click on there, message me, I'll get back to you.
Yeah, awesome. It looks like we do have one question from Mo. Hey, Mo. So she's asking you, Chris, like, what was the method with training and getting recruiters on board to use this effectively, both independently and as a team?
Good question. Staffing Referrals has training every single week, once a week on Thursday. So there's different parts to that, right? There's right when you implement, it's extremely important, and both your leadership team is involved in that process and the entire sales team so that they know how to use it. So they're a big part of that to begin with. But if you guys are anything like us, we've grown, we've added new employees along the way. And so having those recurring training weekly, if somebody, maybe they did the first one and then they just forgot about it, they didn't feel like they needed more, they can jump and sign up and go in the training the next week. That also is for new employees. And then we have subject matter experts on each of our team. We have somebody that on each team that kind of goes, I'm the subject matter expert for this team, and they know that they can go to them and they can really give them a more hands-on, and it's from a peer that they're working with every day. So that's been pretty well for us as well.
I love that. The subject matter expert is a great idea. And Mo, what I find that works really well too is we do host these trainings. It's more generic overview of the platform, like how to use it, best practices. But sometimes, you need to take it and make it your own and kind of take it and apply it to how your organization is working, or the, bells and whistles behind like maybe your integration, and making it more applicable to them. When I was a customer staffing referrals, I was like, cool, love the training staffing referrals. And I took it and made it my own. Actually, when I interviewed at staffing referrals, they made me deliver that. So yeah, I think that might be a good approach, but Mo, we'll talk more about that offline too. And of course you can talk to Chris or any other customer if you want to, about different ways to really get it implemented with the team.
Yeah, I agree. And showing that it's a priority. If you as a company and a team, you got to make it a priority. If you roll this out and you don't talk about it a lot afterwards, it can lose its focus. And so, there's leaderboards every single week. They get emailed. And so taking time to show which of your team members are doing really well. And I think you start recognizing them in front of others, and they see that and they go, oh, wait, I want to be on the leaderboard. I want to make sure I'm getting more leads than the person next to me. And so I would couple the training, but also just as a company, I think the more you put a focus on it and praise those that are doing well with it, the more others are going to adopt it.
Yeah, that's great feedback. I saw somebody raise their hand earlier during the webinar, but I don't know, maybe they're not on here anymore. It doesn't look like we have any more Q&A. So I think that's a wrap. Thank you so much, Chris, for joining us today. Thank you everybody who came on to the webinar. We're super excited that you were here. And if you didn't make it, no worries, we will send you the recording.
Thanks, Rachel. Always a great time talking with you.
Yeah, it was awesome. All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Bye, y'all.